The Immortal John Hancock here, and today I'm going to be talking about the PlayStation 2, some helpful collecting tips. I've been collecting for this console and platform for a long time, and I thought I'd talk about the PlayStation 2. It's very popular to collect, it's abundant, and there's lots of questions I get from time to time about collecting, and I thought I'd focus on a video to help people maybe new to collecting PlayStation 2, or maybe give some helpful hints if you're new to collecting, or maybe you're a long-time collector and you want to find out more about the PlayStation 2. Well, this video is for you. And the PlayStation 2 really has established itself as one of the most popular consoles of all time, and there's lots to know about it before digging in and collecting for it. First and foremost, I think the most challenging thing today to collect for the PlayStation 2 is finding working hardware. Now, there's lots of hardware revisions, but really there's two main differences. There's the fat line, which is the original PlayStation releases with, I have original blue box there. And then they went to more a streamlined to a slim hardware. Now there's lots of preferences. The original fat line of PlayStation 2 hardware takes a hard drive, and there's lots of options and modding options with that. Really what it comes down to is I typically find PlayStation 2 hardware kind of dirty, and just finding one that works. Really, that's number one, is to find one, and I would test it before purchasing one to make sure that your PlayStation 2 hardware that you're picking up is working. And so it is getting a little bit harder to find. They're still abundant, but the price is going up on them. And so I definitely recommend just finding one in good shape if you can. The PlayStation 2 games with the original first releases of the PlayStation 3 are backwards compatible. There's a couple different hardware differences, the 20 gig and the 40 gig, as well as there's kind of like a software backwards compatible PS3 as well. So you may want to go that route if you can find one of those. Those are fairly difficult as well. All right, but the good news is there's abundant replacement parts for PlayStation 2. Everything from if you need if you have a slim and you need a power cable, or say you need a component cable, or AV hookups, memory card, and one place you can check out these is Stone Age Gamer. And so they have a wide variety of options if you're needing parts for your PlayStation 2. And that might be a way to go, as there are tons of companies making replacement and aftermarket parts, Old School being one of them. And, you can find these everywhere. Even local game stores have these replacement parts as well. And you may want to check out your local vendor, as they may have a supply of some things you want to purchase. All right, let's talk about saving. And so some people may not know, but you do need a PlayStation 2 memory card to save for PlayStation 2 games. And so it doesn't have a hard drive built in, and so you need this to save your game files. And I typically haven't had any issues with I go with first party PlayStation 2 memory cards, but there's cheap ones everywhere. You may want to check it out, just kind of at your own risk though. I haven't had a lot of experience with third party memory cards, but they should work fine. All right, the big advantage of the PlayStation 2 was its full backwards compatibility with all PlayStation 1 games. Now, PlayStation 1 library is huge, and so being able to play those games on a PlayStation 2 is awesome. I think of classics such as Monster Rancher 2. You're going to have your favorites: Gran Turismo, Final Fantasy, Metal Gear Solid. Final Fantasy 7 is what I meant. But yes, definitely the backwards compatibility is huge, but you need a PlayStation 1 memory card to save on a PlayStation 2 hardware. And so that's something to remember, as a PlayStation 2 memory card will not save your PlayStation 1 saves. So you want to get, a gray memory card like that, or something else. There are third-party memory cards as well, but I typically try to stay with the first-party stuff, but who knows? In the comments below, let me know. What are your experiences with third-party memory cards, and do you recommend them, or do you just stick with first-party? All right, let's go on and talk about video options for the PlayStation 2. Now, it typically comes with a standard AV cable, and if you're using a TV, a CRT TV, great. Picture's going to look awesome. But there is a lot of hookup options, and your results are going to vary. You can maybe go with an old school component cable, and these are like $6 on Stone Age Gamer. So like, I mean, that's cheap. And what's cool about this is you can, if you have a CRT that has component cable options, you can go that route. You go into the menu of your PS2 and you can choose it, and it's gonna look better with that bumped up resolution. Anyways, so that's one option. You can go with a standard AV cable, as I mentioned before, and it's gonna be fine. But if you have an HD TV, there's also options like this, the HD Link cable, and there's lots of different companies that do this. There's going to be some quality issues kind of going that route overall, but you know, there's lots of different companies you may want to shop around, but there is HD adapters from many different companies if you just want to go that route and hook it up to an LCD screen or something. All right, let's talk about controllers. There's many controller options for the PlayStation 2. And so there's everything from arcade sticks to steering wheels to dance pads, depending on what games you're playing on your PlayStation 2. You know, you can go with the good old school one, you know, the original. These are built pretty tough. They do get kind of dirty, and you know, over time they need to be cleaned. Sometimes the analog sticks get gummy. There's lots of little problems that go on with an original controller, but you can take them apart, you can clean them. I did a video short on, you know, if you have one rattling or want to clean it, you can go that route. If you're looking for a more modern option, you may want to go with Retro Fighter's Defender, and this is a great option. What's cool about this is it's compatible with the PlayStation 1, 2, and 3, and it's a fantastic wireless option if you want to just, you know, sit back on your couch and not worry about a cable, and you can just play wirelessly, and it works fantastic. I'm a big fan of Retro Fighter's controllers. I've covered them on my channel before, and the one for PlayStation, the Defender, is excellent. You can check out it on their website. The link will be below for that. All right, so, and there's other companies too that make awesome wireless controllers. So in the comments below, let me know what controller you use for your PlayStation 2. There's countless. I remember back in the day I used a Logitech, I do believe, a Logitech wireless controller. So you choose what you want to do with control-wise. Just, I mean, if it works, it's all that matters, right? So, all right, let's talk about the huge library of games and collectibles. There's hardware bundles, there's different colors, a special limited edition PlayStation 2 hardware options, and tons of bundles out there, and it's fun to collect, everything from cheap to expensive. Some of my favorite games, just looking here, I'm always a big fan of Twisted Metal Black. That was a fun one, and you know, that's great. And you should find these at many retro game stores, conventions. PlayStation 2 is still readily available everywhere, and the software is abundant. I typically find more PlayStation 2 games than PS1 games. And so here's a cult classic, God Hand. That one's a little bit more collectible. And then you have more common stuff like Shadow of Colossus. And then, you know, games like Champions of Norath. That was awesome. Maximo. Talked about that before on my channel. And, you know, there's tons of compilation discs, and I've covered these on my channel as well. This is Midway Arcade Treasures, and this is an awesome one. It's got some of my favorite games of all time, including Robotron 2084, Gauntlet, Joust. You know, this has got some awesome ones on it. So whatever games that you're into, PlayStation 2 has covered, and more. What's cool about collecting PlayStation 2 is you don't have to have a lot of money to do it with software. And so there's a whole line of greatest hits games, and sometimes collectors don't like the, you know, the red stripe on top or collecting these. There is a subset, and games had to sell a certain amount to be reprinted in greatest hits. But, you know, Gran Turismo 3, an amazing game, super cheap too. And so you may want to look for these, as these are some of the more popular games that sold well on the PlayStation 2, and you're going to have your favorites, or maybe you don't know a lot about the library, but check these out. And that's a great affordable way of kind of jumping into some of the libraries, kind of looking for the greatest hits line, as typically those are some of the better games. All right, games can be resurfaced as well. That's really important to know, because these days you're going to come across PlayStation 2 games and they're disc based, and they're going to be scratched, and you're going to find games and you're going to be like, gosh, this is not working, or I'm worried about working, you might have a place, a DVD repair place near you, or even a retro game store that does resurface games. Now, typically this fee costs. You may find a game store that does that, or a place that does that, a pawn store or something else. It really is an advantage. If you can find a game real cheap and you see that it's scratched up, you can resurface them. Now, some people avoid resurfaced games, but really the reality is in this day and age, you're gonna find disc-based stuff, and unless it's cared by a collector, you know, it's gonna be somewhat scratched or at least dirty. So that's something to be aware of. They can be fixed, and even it might be worth taking a risk on a rare game that's scratched. You can possibly get it resurfaced to look better, or having it be able to play again. Last and definitely not least is collect what is available. You know, the PlayStation 2, the reason why I'm talking about it is it's almost everywhere. Enjoy what you collect. I think the PlayStation 2 is a fantastic console to jump into. It's very diverse with its library, and it had many different types of games on it, and I know that you're going to have your favorites. So in the comments below, what is your favorite PlayStation 2 games? Let me know, and as always, thank you for coming to my channel. If you like what you see, consider hitting that like and subscribe button and clicking the bell as I'm uploading videos every week. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. Let's keep it positive. This is the Immortal John Hancock, and you take care.